We're so close to Chag HaSukkos, so I figured between tonight and Tuesday night we'll review a little bit of the Ushpizin. Every good balabasta goes through her list and knows how many orchim are coming and what to prepare for the sudas, what to make, what's for the horspies, what kind of main dish, what kind of dessert. So we have to know who are the orchim that are coming. Avada, the main thing is to have a big list with a lot of orchim.
Somebody asked me, how come in Pesach we don't have Ushpizin, only in Sukkot?
I
don't know what to answer.
No,
not religious.
Not everybody take your kashrus in your house.
That's a good question.
No, not the religious guy. You say Pesach, do you have 7 days? It's a beautiful holiday.
I'm saying, not everybody eating your food. In the sukkah, it's outside the house. You bring everybody.
I didn't know what to answer.
Because it's simple. The Rambam says that what's a real simcha? If a person thinks he's closing the doors and he's eating with his wife and children, that's not a simcha. A simcha is when he invites orchim.
Pesach also you invite orchim.
Yeah, but Pesach we invite orchim, but Pesach is not Zman Simchaseinu. It's Zman Cheiroseinu. And the Anshe Knesset Agdola said that in Chag HaSukkos we say Zman Simchaseinu. So if this is Zman Simchaseinu, he has to have a lot of guests. The only way we know it's Man Simchaseinu, but that's the way we have Ushpizin. Right. And the Eibusha says, you misameach your family, my family, okay. Okay, so let's go through the Ushpizin. We'll try to cover tonight some of the Ushpizin and Mitzvah Hashem. Tuesday night we'll cover the rest. The Zohar says, it's brought in many Sidurim, that there are Ushpizin, the many people that have a minig, to say, inviting the Ushpizin Elohim, they verbally invite the guest. Chabad doesn't do that. Instead, what Chabad does is talk about the Orchim, to say over Dvar Torah, to talk about the Inyan of the Orchim.
Why Chabad doesn't invite Ushpizin like the rest of the people? What's the reason for that?
I don't know, but I know that the idea of telling over a Dvar Torah, talking about Avram Avinu, is like inviting Avram Avinu.
Okay.
So you have like this. Could be.
How come they don't put any ornaments in
no decoration?
Decorations. I forget maybe
The reason is because Chabad is not the only one.
Okay.
I heard actually a vort from the Chazon Ish. He said that the Chazal say Isno b'fon Zekelu ba'avenu Isno lefon of mitzvahs. Do beautiful mitzvahs. And one of the examples is a beautiful sukkah. How do you make a nice sukkah? You have a nice esrig, make a beautiful esrig. What's a nice sukkah? You put a plastic shmat over there. What's a nice sukkah? When you put a lot of good schach, it's a nice sukkah. So Chabad is very medayik to put a lot of good schach, expensive schach. And that's the noise sukkah in Chabad. L'choida, I don't know for sure. I would say the reason is not to distract from the main noise sukkah. The main noise sukkah is to really put up a nice, thick, good schach. And the same thing is with Ushpizin, maybe, because if you're going to invite the Ushpizin, you forget about talking about Ushpizin. Similar to what the Chabad thing was about Zmiris and Shabbos. That the Alter Rebbe didn't put in Zmiris. He said he wanted they should sing deep Dveikus Negunim. But for Chas v'Sholem, if a person is not going to sing a deep Dveikus Negunim Shabbos, at least they should sing some regular Zmiris. If a person is not going to say Dvar Torah about Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, let him already invite them. And if a person is not going to put a nice, beautiful schach and not going to go out and buy, you can buy today those delicious schach that have a good smell, okay, so put up at least a plastic shmata. But for sure, I think the Inyan is not to distract from the pnimius kavon of it.
But I think every time when you say Ushpizin of the day, you say the name. Ulu Ushpizin Yirein Kashim.
Right.
B'schut Avraham, and we talk about Avraham.
We talk about Avraham.
We do every time you go in, you say about the Ushpizin. Okay.
The Zohar says that there are the Seder is Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef. There is another Girsa which has it Yosef, Moshe, Aaron. And then David. And then the Frierdiker Rebbe said that the Chabad, there is a Chassidish Ushpizin, the Baal Shem Tov, the Maggid, the Alter Rebbe, the Mittel Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek, the Rebbe Rash, the Rebbe Asher. And for those that remember, the Rebbe used to talk after Maidav. In the later years, the Rebbe used to talk after Maidav, a little talk, about half hour, 45 minutes. And the Rebbe usually explained what do you have in common between the Ushpizin of that day, and also how they're different, and how we could learn a lesson from that. There was once a Yosam and a Yosaima. They were employees. They were working by a wealthy Jew who rented a kretschmer from a poritz. And the wealthy man said to himself, maybe the boy and girl are good at shidduch. They were both his employees. So he suggested the shidduch. They broke a glass, mazel tov. They're engaged. Okay? But they're Yosem and Yosaima. They don't have means to get married. So he said he's going to take care of the expenses. Before the chasna, he gave them both a pekel with the money. And he told them to go to the big city. They should buy whatever they need. They went to the big city, Chosna Kala, and they come to the big city, and they hear there's a tumult. Nebuch, there was a Yid and his family that were being taken to jail. He didn't pay his rent to the porters. And Kedarkim, the Pritzim, they were landowners, and they could do whatever they want in their land. This person would languish in prison forever and ever with his family. So the Chosna Kala inquired, how much money do they owe? Turned out it was the same amount of money they had in their tash.
For the wedding.
So they said to each other, why do we need a fancy wedding? A Jewish family is going to jail. Why don't we do a mitzvah pidyon shvoim? So they did the mitzvah. Came back. Rich man said, no. So it was a cheshem. So they said, we got robbed. Okay. He said, sure. No, he feels bad for them. He's not going to give them as much as he gave them, but he gave them something. They should go before their chasna, and they were kavei as man for the chasna. Came a short time before the chasna. A whole chapte people, Yidden, came from a wagon. No one knew from where they came, as if they knew exactly the time of the wedding. It was the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov came with a few talmidim.
It was good to have the wedding, the Baal Shem Tov in the wedding.
Yeah. Baal Shem Tov didn't say who he is. Baal Shem Tov said, he's a great uncle of the Chosn. The Chosn never knew about it, but he's a great uncle. The other Talmud said he's a great uncle of the Kala. Each one of the Talmidim said that they're related. Besmitnamol, they had a lot of mishpocha. I guess, so they were related.
Second cousin wants to move.
Okay, Yosem Yesoima, they were happy. Instead of having just 10 people at their wedding, now they had 20 people. Nach Mishpocha, it was very exciting. At the Chasna, there used to be a minhag that people used to announce the gifts they're giving to Chosna and Kala.
The Bukharim doing that till today.
Yeah.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
So, there were a few orchim. So, but then the Baal Shem Tov got up and he said he also wants to give a matana. He's a great uncle. Out of this town, he said, there is a derful. I give the entire town as a gift to the Chosn and Kala. Everyone started to laugh. They thought this guy is, a good let's. The other Talmud said, I want to give him a matana. There's a river right next to the town. The whole river and the fishing rights, the boats, everything goes to Chosn Kala. Everyone's laughing. They thought it was just a funny group that showed up. Next guy picked up his hand. Ich give him matana. There is right onto the river, there is a mill. The mill, lock, stock, and barrel. Alle gute Sachen. I'm not sure they needed guns back then around the mill, but whatever they needed, everything is in there. And the people, everyone was laughing. They thought it was really funny. And all the Talmidei Baal Shem Tov, everyone picked up his hand. Everyone's giving him matana. and they were very like generous, like the whole town, the whole river, the whole mill. Okay. Everyone was laughing. They took l'chaim and they danced. They thought it was so funny. It ticked up the whole simcha, and that was it. No one thought of it. The Baal Shem Tov disappeared. They didn't know who it was. They're just a funny group of people. They decided they're mishpacha. They came. They made a lot of litzonas. They made good jokes. They danced lebedei kehei. They took l'chaim. Very nice. So the rich man, the couple gets married, says, look, maybe you should make a life for yourselves. Yeah, I give you an eitzah. Travel out to the little town. I hear there's a little kretschma out there. And try to rent it. You have a little bit of money, you have some matonas. Start off your own business. He cared for these, Yosem, Yisrael, a Jewish new couple. He tried to put them on their feet. He heard that there was a place he could rent. Start your own business. Well, you work for me. So they kachava, they went and they moved into that kretschma. They rented it. That was it. That was their business. There was the middle of the winter, and he hears screaming outside. The young man, he runs outside, and a little boy is telling him that there is a horse that right outside town that is stuck in the snow and in the ice, and there's a person that's tangled up with straps around the horse, and he can't, and he's screaming and yelling for his dear life. So the young man said, a person's in danger. The kid said he takes a shovel, he takes whatever he can grab, and he goes out of town and he unties the knots and he gets the person out of his mess, and he gets the horse, he brings him to his house, and this person was more dead than alive, and he did whatever he could do to bring this person back to life. Turns out next morning there was a wealthy poet. He's looking for his son. His son went out riding on a horse. So it turns out this Yid that saved the poet's son. In the meantime, the boy was too weak to go back home. So the doctor came, and there was a hole in his house. Became the hospital. And he was there for a couple of days until he totally recovered. When he recovered, the poet made a big masiba. His son was alive. So he asked the Yid to come. The Yid came. And the poet was so appreciative. He said, I'm getting up right now in front of everyone, and I want to give a gift to this man that saved my son's life. He says, this entire town belongs to him. He had a poet and a friend of him. He says he picked up his hand. I also want to give him a gift. The river next to the town that belongs to me, it belongs to the Jew. Next poet picked up his hand. There is a mill on the river. Yeah, he says that belongs to this man that saved the kids. Said all the gifts of Baal Shem Tov and the Talmidim gave came taka to this Chosan and Kala, and they became incredibly rich. So the Baal Shem Tov
For one pidyon shvuah.
For pidyon shvuah, yeah.
Wow.
Amazing.
Different shit.
So Azoi. First night Ushpizin is Avram Avinu. And Avram Avinu and the Baal Shem Tov have something in common. Very simple. What does Avram Avinu and the Baal Shem Tov have in common? Avram Avinu and the Baal Shem Tov, their whole thing was to go around the world and to be mefarsim their Torah. The Avram Avinu went all around the world to tell the people that there's Rebbeinu Shalom in the Welt. And Baal Shem Tov went around the world, and he loved to give simple Yidden to encourage them, and they should say Baruch Hashem, Gelobt Eibishten. So that's simple of what the Avram Avinu and Baal Shem Tov have in common. I would say another Nakuda, that the Baal Shem Tov and Avram Avinu had something in common, that they not only worked with Jews, but they also tried to influence Goyim. We just did the Siyum with Rambam, 36 cycles of Rambam. And the Rambam says at the end of the Sefer that we have to influence the Goyim by teaching them Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. We see that there is the Avram Avinu. Well, obviously Avram Avinu went around the world. There were Oiv Avodah Zorah. They served idols. Tried to convince them that they should stop serving idols. They should serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Midrash says that they had Arabs. Actually,
Arabim Shemeshtachim.
Arabs.
And then you have The Baal Shem Tov, which also there's so many stories of the Baal Shem Tov, where the Baal Shem Tov didn't only try to influence Yidden, but also Goyim. And he also tried to learn lessons in Avodas Hashem from everything, even from a Goy, which is connected to the Rambam and the Chumash that we're going to learn in Mitzvah Hashem the first night of Sukkot. The Chumash, the first night of Sukkot, is about dawn. What was the job of dawn? Dawn, the Torah says, was Ma'asaf l'chol ha'machinas, because all the machinas traveled first. Dawn was last. So if someone forgot something,
Pick it up.
they would pick it up. The pidyon shvuim, hashavas aveda, they would bring back something that was lost.
They have an Israeli army, Hela Me'asef, that's staying in the end and collect everything.
Collect everything.
Yeah.
So, really, in a sense, what's the biggest loss that a person can have? His spiritual nechosim, his neshama. So what happens is that Baal Shem Tov and Avraham Avinu show us the importance to go and return the Aveda from another Yid. When we lose, we don't sometimes realize that we lose. But it's easy to see someone else's loss. You know, sometimes we miscalculate in our life, but we don't see how we would miscalculate. We don't realize. But it's easy to see someone else. But then it's not just a question of seeing someone's fault. When we see someone else having a loss, then it's in our hand to pick it up and say to Yid, here you just lost. You lost something very valuable. You left it behind. The tzitzis, the tefillin, an opportunity to do a mitzvah. You left behind something very, very important.
Maybe it's like calling Adam Adam Rolla puts in Nige Atzma.
Right, exactly.
That's a similar type of thing.
Exactly. It's unbelievable that you never know. There was a house in our block that was empty for a long time. A very long time. There was a couple that lived there, a Jewish couple, and then they moved to, and when I moved on the block, this old man came to me, he introduced himself as Mr. Fruchter. He said, how much did you pay for the house? I told him. And he said, you want to know how much I paid for my house? It's down the block.
$50.
He says, I paid $25,000. Yeshikoyach.
1950? 19 what?
Something like that, yeah. So the house was empty a very long time. And everyone was eyeballing that house. Mitnavot, the house was sold. Because their children were taking care of the house, and everyone was walking over and asking them, maybe, yeah. The kids said a few years go by that they're not selling. The house is sold. Next day, a contractor is there, building, 2 years, they built a mansion. Beautiful house. Everyone on the block is waiting the whole time. Who is coming here? Some wealthy Syrian family, Mustama. Who has the money to build Mustama? The truck shows up. Everyone's looking on the block. It's all Eden on the side. One Italian, one Greek. Who shows up? A Russian family. The woman is a doctor. The husband, basically.
On your block?
So they've been living there for a while. So Rosh Hashanah, he came to shul. Then they came to our house for Suda. She came with the mother, the woman, she's a doctor, she came with her mother and her father. So the mother tells a story of, she said her father went to Cheder. I said, yeah, your father went to Cheder? He said, yeah. His father was a very religious Jew. He had a big beard. And in 1936 came the whatever it was called then, the Encavadero, they were called the whatever they were called at that point.
The bad guys.
The KGB, the bad guys. And took him away. So I said, why did they take him away? He said, why did they take him away? Why did they take Lubavitcher Rebbe away in 1927? I said, what's the connection? She said, what do you mean it's the connection? He was a Lubavitcher Chassid.
How'd she know?
She knew it was her grandfather.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
So I said, oh, wow, did I say to the family, are you in trouble? Now we know your yichus. Your Zayda was killed al Kiddush Hashem Lubavitcher. You're living down the block. You're not going to hear the end of it.
You fell into trouble.
How many times they came to you for Shabbos?
Many times, but they've never come to shul. And all of a sudden now they're coming. This guy comes with his son to shul.
They're here?
That's the guy who was here last night?
Yeah. He's here with his father.
Ah, I saw him.
Cute boy.
In the end came a guy with a suit.
the grandchild.
Yeah.
The grandchild was holding him.
Yeah. That's it.
Never know.
And his Zayde was a Barsha.
Not only that, his Kiddush Hashem taken away. Was he dead?
So that's the Machanadon. Machanadon is that there a Yid that doesn't know. He doesn't know what kind of beautiful heritage he has. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what he owns. We're all Machanadon. Our job is to be Machanadon. Because ourselves, sometimes we don't realize the gewaldige properties that we leave behind. But another Yid leaves behind, we see it easily. So you're a doctor, you're a matzliach, very good, but where is your yichus? Kibakuk, what you're leaving behind. It's easy to see in another person what they're leaving behind.
So why Dan had judgment on him? Dan Yadin Amo?
Because they understand the gewalt that what people are leaving behind. So they pick it up and they tell him, please, don't leave it behind. Don't lose it. It's very important. There's a beautiful nakuda that Rebbe says that we find by Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu loved the Eibishter. However, he had tinus. The Eibishter said, I'm going to give you schorcha harba me'oid. And what does Avraham Avinu say? When someone gives you a gift, you say yeshakoyach, right? He doesn't say yeshakoyach. He had tinus. It says matitanli. V'anoichi hoy l'chariri. Someone gives you a matona. What do you say yeshakoyach? We see from this a lesson of Avodas Hashem. Chazal tell us that children is not only biological children. The Rabbeim Chabad said the first mitzvah in the Torah is prudavu. One yid influences another yid. Avraham Avinu said that's very nice, everything that you're giving me, but the tachlis is to influence another yid. If I can't influence another yid, what is all this worth? So that's the lesson of Avraham Avinu and the Baal Shem Tov, to influence another yid, to teach another yid.
So he was the first Chabadnik. Avraham Avinu.
According to the Chabad explanation. That's the Ushpizin of the first night. So the first Ushpizin of the first night is Avraham Avinu.
With the Baal Shem Tov.
And the Baal Shem Tov. There's another beautiful story that I saw, and this is a book from Rabbi Yochanan's father. There was a there was a fellow that was a Marano. He was generations and generations. They had Jews that were hidden. They knew that they were Jewish, but for hundreds of years, they were in Spain, hundreds and hundreds of years, the Inquisition kept cheshbonos till who knows, about 100 years ago. That's it. So it was discovered that he was Jewish, and that apparently he kept some secretly he kept a few customs, Jewish customs. So he was arrested by the Inquisition. They decided to kill him. They're going to burn him at the stake. He had connections, he had friends. They tried to schlep a hin, schlep a hair, but it was only how long they could schlep it. Eventually, that was it. He's going to be killed. His good mazel, when they were about to kill him, there was an earthquake. People started groaning, people started screaming, people started flying, and he disappeared. He disappeared in the whole chaos. He disappeared, and he was managed to escape. He left Spain. He was wondering, was this really a godly revelation? Did God save his life in the nick of time? Or was it just a coincidence? You know, just at the time that he was going to get killed, there was an earthquake. If someone could convince him that it was really God's hand to save his life, he would absolutely become 100% religious. Otherwise, he would just keep on living the way he lived till now, just, keeping one or two things that he kept in the tradition. So he traveled around Europe. It's like a mach that he came to Mezhebush to the Baal Shem Tov. This is the story that Rabbi Yochanan, his father, tells in the book. So he comes into the Chotz of the Baal Shem Tov,
acquisition is much earlier. How could
The
that be?
acquisition started in 1492. It started before, much before. It started really 1391, and it was abolished somewhere in the 19th century.
In Puerto Rico,
Right.
1892.
Right,
so.
exactly.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Somebody loves history.
Hashem was
Not
in-
1992.
Yeah.
Hashem was
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
In like
Well,
1980,
it started in
Isaac Lewin, Alder Shalom, that one's one. I have in the house the book. He wrote to the government of Spain, that they should Michael the Union and take away the expulsion, but they said no. It was on the book still. I don't know when they expunged it, like a couple of years.
A few years ago, yeah.
It says they have to throw out. I have the whole thing.
We're
They said no.
Yeah, like it was a whole. Yeah. I have, it's like I have the thing.
Wow, remarkable. So now they're having trouble a little with this Catalonia that wants to have.
Yeah,
Barcelona.
Yeah.
They say that there should be a Palestinian state, but they're against Catalonia.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Barcelona
That's
is a
good.
very independent place.
Right.
There's actually
They should break up to all that. There was like 15, 16 kingdoms. These are terrified. It's not about Catalonia, which happens to be a wealthy state. It's just because Spain is comprised of 14 or 15 kingdoms. All they need is one that's going to become a Purim spiel. Exactly. They say there should be a Palestinian state, should be a Catalonian state. So the fellow walks in to the courtyard of the Baal Shem Tov, and he sees this fellow stroking a horse. Who was it? It was Reb Wolf Kitzes. So he says, where I heard that there's a miracle worker, the Baal Shem Tov. Can I talk to him? He says, yeah, go inside. He's right there. So he goes inside, and as soon as he sees the Baal Shem Tov says, Nu, was macht a Yid von Spanje? What is that Jew doing from Spain? So he saw that Baal Shem Tov has Ruach HaKodesh. He said, I have a question. He said, the fellow who's stroking the horse, he'll tell you the answer for your question. So he goes out, and the Rebbe Zev Kitzah says, what kind of questions do you have? What difference does it make? What difference does it make? If the Eibishter made from Sheishis Yimei Bereishis that exactly at this moment there's going to be an earthquake, or at this moment that you were taken to the stake there was an earthquake, what difference does it make? It was Hashem's hand. It was a revealed miracle. That's it. So that's the story of the Baal Shem Tov. That's the lesson the first night. The first night, the lesson is to influence another Yid. Second night is Yitzchok. Yitzchok didn't travel. Also the Chassidish Ushpizin, the Maggid and Mezrich, they have in common one thing, that they were like Shlomo Melech. They brought in Chassidus that Shlomo Melech was like Malka Shvo. She traveled to come to Shlomo Melech. Shlomo Melech didn't travel. It was like the Alter Rebbe says in Kutei Torah, there's a huge flame, and all the little candles are jumping into the big flame. The Kedusha was so intense that from all over the world, the sparks of Kedusha, when Malka Shva heard about Shlomo Melech, she came to see him, and she was thoroughly impressed. So the same thing, the Maggid didn't travel. The Maggid was in one place, like Yitzchak Avinu, one place. The difference between the Yitzchak and the Maggid, what they have in common, but what are they different? Yitzchak was the ultimate insider. The Maggid was the ultimate outsider. The Baal Shem Tov father was from the Tzadikim Nestorim. The Alter Rebbe's father was a Talmud of Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov gave him instructions when his son was born, what to do. Most Tzadikim that we know, the Rabbeim Chabad, their fathers were Tzadikim. The Maggid was a misnagid. They say that the Baal Shem Tov said in Volin, that there's a wild bear in the forests of Ukraine. I would love if someone can catch the bear for me. There was a Rebbe, the Maggid. And the Maggid was against the Baal Shem Tov. He was a misnagid. And the Baal Shem Tov went through in the stories, all kinds of stories of how the Baal Shem Tov tried to influence the Maggid, because he desperately wanted the Maggid to be his Talmud. He wouldn't take no for an answer. He tried really hard to get the Maggid. So, what's the lesson? The bottom line lesson is, the Gemara says that a person comes in heaven, and people have excuses. They say, what did you do with a lifetime of 70, 80 years? So, how many times did you have a Pesach Geshmak and davening? How many Tovas did you do for another Yid? How much Torah did you learn? So the fellow says, listen, I was busy. What do you want from me? I had to pay bills. I had things to do. So there are two types of tainus. There's the oni. There's a beggar who says I was too fatorut. I was trying to put bread on the table. And then there is the osher. The osher says I was too busy running a whole empire. So the Gemara says that if a person gives the oni excuse, the beggar excuse, they call for Hillel. They said Hillel machayev anim. They say Hillel, there couldn't be a person that was worse off than Hillel. And Hillel learned every single day. And if a person says he was wealthy and he was running an empire, they called it Lezer Acharsum. Lezer Acharsum, Gemara says, fabulously wealthy. Elef Yoris Kenegden Elef Sfinas Mayam. He was fabulously wealthy, and he was learning Torah. His employees, his workers didn't even know who he is. They didn't even know. It was once he was going on the road, he was learning. They chapped him and they said, you're going to go working for us. Till he was able to krich out. They didn't realize this was Rabbi Elazar Chassan, the CEO. So, the story of the
So, the question I have is,
Undercover boss.
how can they pass judgment on him? We need two agents.
No, they didn't. It's not aid them. They just give him an example. They say, look, if you say a beggar can't learn, look at the Hillel. You say a rich man can't learn, look at a Belazar Acharsum. Same thing here. A person says, what do you want from me? I'm a Baal Tshuva, I come from the outside. I don't know, I didn't come, I'm not in the yeshiva system. This is a yeshiva here, you have a yeshiva, it's a clique, a very small clique. The Rosh Yeshiva and his son-in-laws, and this is a whole... I'm not from the inside crowd, I'm the outside. What do you want from me? And then the person says, Faket, what do you want from me? I'm from the inside. Madret Me'akop has all kind of expectations. The guy on the outside, he can do whatever he wants. They say, Danish can cop. Look at Yitzchak Avinu. Yitzchak was a Oilet Tamima. Magid was a Misnagid. He was the ultimate outsider and he was the ultimate insider. So if they could do it, we could do it. That's the second night. The third night is Yaakov Avinu and the Alter Rebbe. What do they have in common? And what do they have different? What do they have in common? It's quite simple. Yep. Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak, and then Yaakov is connected to 3 Yom Tovim. Avraham Avinu is Pesach, and Yitzchak is Shavuos, and Yaakov is Sukkos. Yaakov Monos Sukkos. So Yaakov is Vayokem Vayokem Eidos B'Yaakov Torah Sam Yisrael. He was Yoshev Aholim. He sat in the Aholim. Which Aholim did he sit? Ola Shel Torah, exactly. He sat in Yeshiva Shel Shem Ve'Ever. Tzemach Tzedek says Ola Shel Shem, Torah Shel B'Ksav, Ola Shel Ever is Torah Shel Peh, so Ever is Baal Peh. It's explained why is it Oholim Loshan Rabim. Nigla the Torah and Pnimis Torah, which is the same thing in the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe's big thing is Torah, and the Alter Rebbe is called Baal Atanya V'Shulchan Aruch. And Shneir is Shnei Oyer, 2 Oyers, Oyer Nigla and Oyer Nister. So this is what the Alter Rebbe and Yaakov Avinu have in common. And what are they different? Very simple. The Alter Rebbe. Start with the Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu says to Paroi, he says, "Ma'at v'roim hoyu yimei shnei chayei." I had a very bitter life, and if you go through the entire life of Yaakov Avinu, it was taka very bitter. First, he had a story with a brother Esav. From when he's born, they're already fighting. Yodeh ve'isroitza abonim bekirba. Then he has a gewaldig uncle Lovan, Rugze shel Esav, Rugze shel Lavan, Rugze shel Yosef. So his entire life, besides the last 17 years, is, he says, Ma'at v'royim hoyu yemei shnei chaya. The Alter Rebbe, on the other hand, the Alter Rebbe, at least what's important to him, not Gashmias, but Beruchnias, he grew up with a father who was a Moedik, a Tzaddik, and a Tzidkonius, and at a young age he came to the Baal Shem Tov, the Magid, and the Magid picked that he should be the Talmud that's going to write the Shulchan Aruch, and the Alter Rebbe, he was the youngest Talmud, and then the Alter Rebbe wrote it, and the two oldest Talmidim looked over and said that the Shmelke and the Pinchas said, this is Gevaldik, Kilsu, Vishipchu ad l'moed me'od. So his life was a life of, Yaakov Avinu's life was a life of tsar. The Alter Rebbe's life, Apash, was a life of tainug, of pleasure. Especially if you think about the Tanya that Alter Rebbe wrote, which is the pleasure of understanding the Pnimiyas HaTorah. Yaakov Avinu was a life of tsar, and the Alter Rebbe was a life of tainug. Again, so what they have in common is Torah. And what they have different is here is learning Torah through tsar, and here is learning Torah through tainug. Again, the same lesson, like by Yitzchok and the Magid.
He was also imprisoned.
The Emes Taka, he was also in prison. Emes. And Yaakov also had 17 years where he lived good.
You're talking about the Rebbe wasn't
The Alter Rebbe. He's saying that. Emes Alter Rebbe had tsar. He had tsar. Emes Taka.
He used to go to the mikveh even though he was prison every day.
Emes, but it was tsar. Emes, it was tsar.
Where did
Okay.
you go to mikveh? You get in a mikveh?
The Stavat to get learned Mishnayos.
He went to a river.
They let him go.
Don't let him go.
He went. After they let him go, I didn't. Because there's a story once that the head of the police was on a horse, and he saw the Alter Rebbe with a towel coming from the river. So he figured he'd give money to the guard, and so he drove first to the beach, and he wanted to catch the guard. When he came to the station with the Alter Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe was sitting on his bed with the towel. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I missed out the Maisa about the Magid. There's a lot of beautiful Maisa of the Magid, but there's one terrific story about the Magid. We said about learning Torah in poor and in rich, inside or outside. The Magid was the Doiv bed. The bed at the Reitzach in Berlin. One of the stories about the Magid is Magid was very poor. So the wife, she came in to his room. He said, our son already, the third day he didn't eat. Third day he didn't eat. And the Magid was taking off his Rabbeinu Tam Tfil. He was taking off the Shalyad. And he picked up his the whatever he had, like a shadel, the case to put in. Out fell a gold coin. So his wife wanted to take the coin. And he said, no, it's Maisa Nisim. We can't have anoah from it. However, I think there's a piece of bread. He said it was on the top of the shelf, a little piece of bread. Kid is starving. Look up there. She found a little piece of bread. He said, go give it to the boy. So she brought the boy into his room. And he saw the boy. He was Nebuch, in pain. And he started to cry. So all of a sudden in heaven, there was a big rash. There were Malachim that were on the right, Malachim that were on the left. Malachim on the left said, you see, for his son he cries. He's so interested in Gashmis, he cares about his family. The other said, it's a Jewish boy. It would be another boy, he would cry the same thing. A Jewish boy is in pain, so he's crying. It's nothing to do with him, with his family. So there was a big tumult in heaven, and then the Maggid turned to his wife. He said, "Shine, we lost. In other words, I'm going to have to be Mizgala, but Breit wird sein." In other words, he had no choice now. He wanted to live a life of a secret life that he would never, no one would ever know who he is. he realized that the only way he could be metaken for this kitrug in heaven was if he actually went out and had talmidim and taught Torah to others.
Yeah, but I don't understand. If he would live a secret life, how would he be able to say all the Torah, and how would he be able to influence?
I don't know what was his havamina. We know that his maskana. The maskana was his maskana. We don't know what the pshat and the havamina is.
Maybe back then it was something that.
Maybe you want to be a pchenas of a tzaddik nister.
Right.
So he'll be mamtik the din like the Lamed Vav tzaddikim.
Exactly.
Avodim Baal Shem, you had.
Right, yeah, big tzaddikim.
They did it behind the scenes, under Pumbi.
Right. Story of the Alter Rebbe.
The Baal Shem's son, the Deitch.
Right, exactly.
Where's the tzaddik, right? Big days.
No one ever
Maybe
exactly.
the generation there didn't need it as much as the later
They
generation.
had tzaddikim that work behind the
Right.
scenes too.
And the Baal Shem Tov himself, or one of the, said that he was a gilgul of a tzaddik, it was a yid and tzvas. No one ever heard of him, and he was a tzaddik otzum v'noiru. Story of the Alter Rebbe. They say there was a yid that came to the Rabbi Yitzchak Berditchev, and he asked for a tshuva. He slept with a woman, was not married. It was a pnuya, he said. Rabbi Yitzchak doesn't like what he's hearing. He said, and also I told her to count Shiva Nekim and go to the mikveh. Rabbi Yitzchak started screaming, 7 days you waited to do an Aveda? Get out of here. He tried to say it wasn't that bad. He tried to, So eventually this fellow met the Alter Rebbe, and he asked the Alter Rebbe if he could tell him a way of doing tshuva. So the Alter Rebbe told him how to do tshuva. So he said, but I went to the Rabbi Yitzchak Berditchev and he kicked me out. So he said,
It's a chiddush, no? Because
exactly, I know. I don't know. It's like a pen. So they said that he answered that he says Rabbi Yitzchak Berditchev is Malach Michol. He's Malach Michol. So he can't vertrogen as a chazach. Then eventually this fellow met Rabbi Yitzchak Berditchev, and he said, the Alter Rebbe gave me a way of doing tshuva. He said, what kind of question that? The Sarah Torah. And if the Sarah Torah has a eitzet for everyone how to do tshuva.
What was the Mahalach?
I don't know. So Akaponim the Indian of Alter Rebbe was Shnei Oir Torah Saniglas, Torah Sanista, which is in common with Yaakov Avinu. The difference between Yaakov and Avinu and Alter Rebbe teaches us a lesson that a Yid learns, just like the vort of Rebbe Lezer Charsom and Hillel. The fourth night is Moshe Rabbeinu. Again, as I said, there's another shita, but we'll go now with the Mahalach. That's Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu and the Mittler Rebbe. First, there's a beautiful story about the Mittler Rebbe. And one of the daughters married the son of Ramotala Chernobyl. So she was once going back to her father to see her father. So she went to get a bracha from her father-in-law. So her father-in-law told her that there was one chassid that left him and went to be a chassid by her father. So she should tell her father that he wants that chassid back. And if the chassid doesn't come back, she could stay by her father. So she was uncomfortable. She called to tell her father such things. But on the other hand, her father was a tzaddik. You don't play games. So before she was about to leave her father, so she was uncomfortable. Her father said, "I see it. What's the matter?" So she said that my father-in-law said that I should tell you, and she said the whole thing. So Mittler Rebbe said, "Tell your father-in-law, to me, one chassid is more precious than 7 daughters."
In
other words, forget about it. He had a lot of daughters, the Mittler Rebbe.
He was the second son. He was the next door.
Next door. Why 7 daughters? In the Poil he had more daughters. Could be it was before they were born, or could be also one of them was nifted. I think the Maisi had 8 or 9 daughters.
No sons.
No, he did have a son, of Nochem. He had one son. Nochem was a big tzaddik. So, what's if Yaakov Avinu's Torah? The Alter Rebbe's Torah. So what's Moshe Rabbeinu more? If Yaakov Avinu's Torah, what's Moshe Rabbeinu? So the Zohar answers. The Zohar says that truth is they're both Torah. Both are Torah. But this is Melagav and this is Melabar. Yaakov Melabar, Moshe Melagav. Moshe Rabbeinu was, in other words, Moshe Rabbeinu Kipshute taught Torah to Klal Yisrael. The whole Torah Shabbat Peh was Moshe Kibel Torah Messina, Masar Ali Yeshua. Same thing the Mittler Rebbe. True that Tanya was written by the Alter Rebbe, but the Rechoiva Sanor, to give a deep and a long explanation and everything Chassidus, came from the Mittler Rebbe. Again, Moshe Rabbeinu, we say, is the Mittler Rebbe was, obviously there were different people, but again, the bottom line, the lesson that we learn is that the tzaddikim that are very different. They're very different. But the bottom line is that a person will say, to learn Torah, Chayvas Anor, to learn the whole Torah Shabbat Peh, to learn Pnimis HaTorah, and a big Arichis, I don't have time, and all. So that's why we say that there's a tzaddik like Moshe Rabbeinu, there's a different type of tzaddik. In every circumstance, a yid could do it. So the Eibus shall help him that this Chag HaSukkos, we should learn a lesson from all the Ushpizin Elohim. We should talk about the Ushpizin by every Suda, and by talking to the Ushpizin should come. When the Ushpizin will already come, so once we have that, we have the Ushpizin next to us, for sure it'll influence us that amidst Hashem for the entire year we should be able to learn a lesson from Avram Avinu and the Baal Shem Tov, from Yitzchak and the Magid, from Yaakov and the Alter Rebbe, and Moshe and the Mittler Rebbe. Amidst Hashem, the following Ushpizin